So far in this module, we've talked a lot about setting policies and being professional and being firm with your students and establishing those boundaries. And that can all be really challenging. I mean, it's easy for me to say, like, yes, have a cancellation policy and stick to it. It's a lot harder when a parent calls and tells you a long, sad story about how the other parent made a dentist appointment and they have to keep it and the dentist can't reschedule. It's a lot harder to say, like, oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm not able to offer a makeup session. So nobody wants to come off as mean or rude to their new clients. But I want you to think about positioning yourself as an expert and a professional. Don't forget those things, because even if you're new to this online tutoring business, and even if you've never implemented this stuff before, you know more about running a tutoring business than the parents do. And you know more about teaching literacy than the parents do. And so you're going to draw on those sources of expertise to confidently and calmly state your policies and then stand by them. Parents and students will follow your lead. How often does a young teacher or a substitute teacher have trouble getting control of the class just because they feel so nervous and uncomfortable? But if a teacher walks into the room, as clueless as they may be, if they act confidently and with authority, students pay attention. It's not a perfect solution, but having that confidence and that professional presentation can go a long way to getting treated as a professional. Remember that parents only typically have one tutor at a time. They're not comparing you to all their child's other tutors. They're not thinking like, oh, well, the math tutor lets us cancel. Don't worry. I mean, you're running your business. You don't have to worry about what other tutors' policies are. You just have to find the policies that work best for your business. So here are some tips about how to present your plan and your policies and have those difficult decisions. Some phrases that I like are, my approach is, and I like that phrase because it doesn't throw anyone under the bus. But it clearly differentiates that we are doing things a different way. So you can do that when you're talking about curriculum or homework. When a parent asks you, should the child be reading this at school? Well, my approach is, I also try to limit the choices. I want parents to get what they need. But I also know, and there's research to support this, that if people are given too many choices, they're overwhelmed and they might not make a choice at all, or they won't be satisfied with the choice they make. So when we talk about, how often a week should we meet or how long are sessions, I tend to offer one or two options that work for me. So I'll say typically I offer either 45 or 60-minute sessions, or I'll say typically students see me 2 to 3 times a week. That's what I want. I have students that see me more and students that see me less. But if I'm starting with a new client, what I want is for them to book 2 to 3 times a week because it's good for the student and it fits well for my business. So those are the options I present. If parents are asking you to do things that aren't in your area of expertise or that you just don't want to do as a tutor, here's my suggestion for how to phrase that to them. If parents are asking you to work on homework or math or typing an essay or whatever, studying for a test, any in the whole range of academic things, if that fits with your goals with the student and you're able to offer that, great, do whatever you want. They're hiring you, you're doing the work, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But if they're asking you for something that's outside of the scope of the service you offer, you can say, my focus is blank. My focus is teaching reading. My focus is reading comprehension. I don't work on blank, or blank is not in my area of expertise. There's nothing wrong with those things. There are things that many tutors do. It's just not the service you offer. Another phrase that I use a lot when I describe what I do is I say, I specialize in. And the reason I like that phrase is it doesn't say, it's not, I am an Orton Gillingham teacher. I teach reading. It's, I specialize in teaching reading using the Orton Gillingham method. I also teach reading comprehension. I also teach essay writing. I also teach homework organization and executive functioning skills and just sort of general study skills and self-management in the high school setting. But I specialize in Orton Gillingham reading. And that's the primary thing parents come to me for. And everybody wants the specialist and the expert, right? So if you say to parents, oh yeah, I tutor in all subjects, then what are you really great at? So pick your focus, and you can say, I also offer homework support, or I also offer study skills instruction. But make sure that you let parents know what your specialty is, what you're awesome at. And then finally, when it comes to things that parents who want to do things not your way. So parents who say like, well, what if we just meet once a week? Or what if they don't really have time to do follow-up work? So can they just work with you? Or should I work with them at home? The phrase I like is, in my experience, this works best if. So this works best if the student is seen at least twice a week. This works best if the child reads the practice reading that I send home after each lesson. You're not saying, absolutely not, that's a dumb idea. But you are, again, giving your expert opinion about the best way to approach the problem. Sometimes parents will come back and say, well, I know, but we really only have one day a week until school gets out, or until, soccer season ends. And it's up to you whether you want to start the student with something that's not ideal, or say, great, let me know when you have more time. But don't water down what you do. If you have a best practice recommendation for students, like that you see them at least 2 to 3 hours a week, hold parents to that. And if they're choosing something that is not your recommendation, make it clear that, yes, you can accommodate it, but down the road you would recommend a change, or something like that. When you present these things, your expert perspective, parents are likely to do what they can to fall in line with you and to do what you're asking, because they called you for a reason. They know that their child needs help, and they believe that you're the person who's going to provide it. So it can be challenging this way to present yourself as an expert, especially when you feel like you're just getting started in your online business. But it's so important. And parents have rarely asked me how many students I've tutored before, or how long I've been doing this specific thing. And even if they do, my answer is, well, I have been teaching in the schools for about 12 years. And in the last 3 years, I've moved my tutoring business online. So they don't need to know this is your first season as an online tutor. They need to know where your expertise comes from. So those are some tips for presenting yourself as a professional, as an expert, and hopefully those will smooth over some of the awkward conversations you're having with parents as you begin your business.